Time to elevate. You're running on empty with Matt and Tony.
Hey, everybody. Welcome to Running on Empty. I am Matt.
And I'm Tony.
And we're running on empty and very excited for today's show, Tony, because we've got a couple of students that we're interviewing and I'm really excited to hear their perspectives on what's been going on this past year.
Yeah, I think that, at least from my perspective, every time we talk about education, either K through 12 or higher education, and when we talk about it in relationship to the pandemic, we tend to get the medical professional view or the college administrator view or the K through 12 superintendent view. But I just haven't heard enough of people actually talking to students, right? What have they been experiencing as they've been going through this? So we are going to talk to two communication studies students from our program at UW Oshkosh. It's going to be a really great show.
Awesome. All right. Well, who do we have with us today?
We have Gaby Newman. Gabby is the president of our Communication Studies Club in the Comm Studies Department at UW Oshkosh, and she's also going to be having a scholarly article published soon. What is the name of your article, Gabby?
Goodness, excuse me. It's a rhetorical criticism. It's been so crazy writing that paper that I think the title is the last thing that I edited. It's a rhetorical criticism on a Wisconsin suffragist named Ada James, who was really popular at the end of the suffrage movement. And in fact, her dad was the one that they put the papers in his hand, sent him on the train, and he was the first one in Washington to say, Wisconsin, we want the 19th Amendment.
Wonderful, wonderful.
Awesome.
And that article will be published in the Oshkosh Scholar, which is a student peer-reviewed journal on our campus. And not many students get their work published there, so that's a major accomplishment.
That's awesome.
Yes.
Thank you.
And we are also joined by Megan Sullivan. Megan has, for 3 years, I think, been a member of the Titan Gold Corps, which is a very prestigious group of students that run campus tours. And what else does the Titan Gold Corps do, Megan?
Yeah, we work in the admissions office, obviously, but we run social media and do blogs and participate in student panels and just all sorts of recruiting efforts. Much less impressive than Gabby, but it is a lot of fun.
That's not true at all.
You are also on the executive board of the Student Public Relations Society of America. Is that right?
Yes, and right now my role on the executive board is to run a national campaign that's launching in April. We do it every year, and it's really to raise awareness for being a national organ donor. So that's my main role, and just run a whole public relations campaign while being a student.
Wow, that's wow. Amazing. So we have two very accomplished undergraduate students here, and the thing is, both of you are going to UW Oshkosh, but neither of you are originally from Wisconsin. So Megan, you're from Illinois, right?
Yes, I'm from Oak Park, Illinois, which I know people say they're from Chicago a lot, and they're really not. But it's really the first suburb outside of Chicago. So,
what was it about the University of Wisconsin-Oshkosh that got you here?
Yeah, I was super indecisive. I originally came in as a business major, and my in-state tuition in Illinois was higher than out-of-state tuition in Wisconsin.
Wow.
Surrounding.
Wow.
So I was never opposed to going out of state. It's about 3 hours and mid-size. I really didn't want to go to a Big Ten, but I came from a huge high school, so I wanted it to be bigger than that. So the size, the affordability, and the proximity to home is really what sold me.
Yeah, excellent. And Gabby, you are originally from, is it Virginia?
I am from Virginia, born and raised.
All right. And what got you to Wisconsin?
My parents. My dad was in the Navy. That's what brought us to Virginia. And so he had a career change 5 years ago and came up to Oshkosh because he grew up going to EAA. So that was the huge draw for this community for him. And so I think from job application to acceptance to moving was like 2 weeks that he was here putting down roots, and then we followed suit shortly after. So I moved officially when I was a senior in high school. It was mid-semester of my senior year. So I did not know anything about Wisconsin. I didn't know anything about Oshkosh. So I found UWO by proximity, and I can't be any more grateful for having this university be in my new hometown. I just love it.
Oh, that's incredible. That's incredible. Well, I can speak on behalf of all the faculty. We're thrilled that both of you chose UW Oshkosh, and we're especially thrilled that you're in comm studies. I mean, you've done so many great things. And, you know, we have you here today to really talk about what has been, from your perspective, the experience of students during this whole COVID-19 crisis. So why don't we go back to March of 2020? So I can speak as a teacher. When we got the word in March that we had a stay-at-home order, that all of a sudden our classes were going to go online. I mean, I think like most people, I was a combination of kind of shocked and stunned and didn't really know what to do. And I know that many of my students were kind of confused. What was we'll start with you, Megan. When that word came that all of a sudden there was going to be no more normal, what were you going through?
I remember, like, obviously it was kind of seen as this weird flu thing. And I remember sitting in my research class, 8 a.m. with Bob, and he told us, I wouldn't be surprised if we didn't come back for the whole semester. And we looked around at each other and just kind of rolled our eyes like, okay, you know, because I'm thinking, we're in Oshkosh, like we go to class when there's 3 feet of snow on the ground. So, like, we're not gonna let like a little flu stop us, okay? And then as the day progressed, I remember more rumors circulating campus, and I was standing in a huddle of like some of my classmates that like were just acquaintances at the time, and we're like, are we gonna die? Like, it just progressed so quickly. And originally, I'm not gonna lie, it was kind of excitement. It's like, we get another week of spring break, like, you know, we'll be back. Like, you know, for a comm student, it's like doing speeches online, that might be a little easier, you know? So I really did not understand the gratitude, or not the gratitude, but the like the gratitude I had for already being in person, and I didn't understand what it was to come.
Right. Gabby, was that your experience also?
Yeah, I can definitely second that excitement and the rumors. You know, it was kind of like, we get an extra week, we get a break. I remember I was in an exceptionally hard finance class at the time, and we had an exam, I think, the Monday that was coming, and we got an extra week to study. And it was like, oh, this is great. And just, I don't think any of us really had an idea of quite what was happening. I remember, I'm pretty sure in that finance class, it was the last one that I went to before we were told, don't come to class. That was the first Friday that it was like, we're closing things down, but come to class if you want, if you feel comfortable. I remember I went because I was like, what is going on? There's just no way. Again, we come to school for everything. We can't possibly not be coming for this. So it was just, excitement, rumors, and just not really having any idea of what was to come.
So then when it finally became clear that we were not coming back, that the rest of that semester, which I guess would have been like, what, another 6 or 7 weeks? I can't even remember, something like that.
Yeah.
So then what happened at that point? Did you have to make some pretty dramatic adjustments in, you know, your study routine? What happened? Gabby, we could start with you on that one.
Well, I think for me personally, I've got a pretty unique experience in that when I said that I moved in my senior year, to make that transition easier, I did online homeschool for the rest of my high school career. So I was homeschooled online for about 3 years. And honestly, I kind of forgot that I did that because I was irritated that I had to be online, but I quickly pulled from those past experiences of, you know, it's on you to get it done, odd schedules and things like that. So I've had lots of experience doing school online. So I'm very fortunate for that personally, but it was definitely a challenge. It was very different. I remember I had one professor who just really had a hard time putting the class together in that quick span of time to make it online. So I'm pretty sure we didn't do like half of the assignments that we were supposed to, which were papers that we had to write. So again, the excitement of, oh, we don't have to write a paper, but my heart went out to him struggling to get this class together, and then us kind of missing those, you know, assignments that we were expected to do. Yeah.
Oh, absolutely. Megan?
Yeah, I was on the other end of the spectrum than Gabby. I'd never done, any class online. I'm a comm student. I love being in person. I love talking to people. Like, that's really where I thrive. And I remember I was taking an editing course in our journalism department, and we were about to start like our Adobe unit. And that was like the rest of the class. And we couldn't figure out how to like have accessible Adobe for every single student.
Wow.
So we just had to like drop that part of the class. And I was like, I don't want to be dramatic, but I was just like so torn up about it. And I just kept trying to like remind myself that I am so privileged in the fact that, I still had but I still had an income. I still had a roof over my head. I had a family that supported me, and so many people didn't. And
Right.
it just was worse and worse and worse. But it was really tough. And I couldn't help but thinking that like, I'm missing out on like my best like college years, like just sitting in my room.
Was that a dominant feeling among students? Do you still to this very day get the feeling that your peers, many of them, if not the majority, have felt that like a year has been robbed from them somehow?
Absolutely. And my heart, I think maybe just because I work in the admissions office, I see a lot of freshmen, but I'm obviously kind of like sad for myself. This is my senior year. Like, kind of the most fun part of college is like just kind of gone. Not gone, but it is very different than what I was working towards. But I feel even worse for the freshmen. I can't even physically imagine moving into your freshman year dorm and staying there, like staying in practically a closet. Like, I can't even imagine like going to your first day of college by logging in into your laptop. Like, that just breaks my heart even more.
Yeah, to second that with Megan, I think she and I have a privileged experience to have gotten those 2-3 years to have those experiences throughout this whole thing. My heart goes out to the students that are just starting, that, the food on campus was closed. They couldn't even sit at a table and eat. So you were literally trapped in your dorm room. And that just broke my heart for those students.
Now you folks, you both live off campus, is that correct?
Yeah,
I do.
Okay. I can't even imagine. When I went to school there, I lived in up on 8th floor in North Scott, and it was a designer single, so I didn't have a roommate or anything like that. And I can't even imagine, coming in with essentially zero reference point on college and having to, okay, now I'm stuck in this room. I mean, back in 1980, whatever it was, we didn't have computers on the floor back then. There was no computer lab. I mean, if you want to do anything with like word processing, you had to go over to one of the halls and, go into their computer lab. So, TV and a dial phone was about all that room contained that had any way to communicate or have any type of entertainment. And so, and you said that the food was closed too, right?
At least that was my understanding. Again, my experience isn't all on campus, but I believe students couldn't sit at a table. They had to take their food to go back up to their room to eat.
Wow. So living off campus then, and either one you can answer, I guess, having to stay there has been easier, I would think, than obviously being in the dorms. So I guess what did kind of a daily routine start like? Gabrielle, we'll start with you.
Well, yeah, I live with my partner, so I've got lots of friends that live by themselves too. So I can't imagine that isolation of not having either other roommates to talk to or a partner or family to engage with. My best friend lived in Milwaukee in a studio apartment by herself. So I feel very privileged to have had somebody to talk to because he was also working from home. So it was kind of fun a little bit too. It was kind of like camping in our apartment. We would, have breakfast together, separate to do our work throughout the day, but nothing had a break to it. I really enjoy going to campus because it makes me get in my car, drive somewhere, walk outside, be in the sun. So it was just kind of like a continuous day. It felt like, so I didn't enjoy that part of it, but I felt very fortunate to have at least somebody to talk to as we were stuck in our apartment for weeks on weeks.
Sure. Megan?
Yeah, I live in a house right off of campus. There's 6 girls.
Wow.
Which is kind of a lot, which I quickly learned. But it was a weird shift because from what's usual, like just a roommate, like kind of tension of like wash your dishes, it's like, where are you going? Like, why are you going to the bars? Like, who are you seeing? You know, and it's just like,
Oh, wow. Yeah.
we're
Yeah.
21, 22-year-olds asking each other who we're seeing and where we're going. And one of my roommates actually got COVID. And so we all have the same kitchen, and you know, it's just such a weird, we would have to like make food and like deliver it to her door and just like spray it with Lysol. Like,
Wow.
it was just such a weird experience. And especially going out of like, you know, living out of state, like my permanent home with my
Sure.
parents, I didn't really want to cross like Wisconsin, Illinois boundaries a lot. I have a grandma who's 95 years old who is just my absolute best friend. Like, and you know, she's kind of losing it a little. So she's just like, why aren't you coming home? Like, you know, but it's like, it's so tough because I want to see my family, but, and like emotionally, I need some support. I need to see my family.
Mhm.
But it's just different that I can't like drive home to like have a home cooked dinner, you know, like, because I'm putting everyone at risk. So it is definitely a multifaceted issue, and it all just kind of was a domino effect.
Wow.
Was it your perception, or has it been your perception, because we're not over this yet by any means, that the majority of students are being responsible? I mean, there are people in the community that are convinced that students are still going to the bars the way they used to, that they're not practicing enough social distancing and masking. I mean, on the campus, to me, it looks like 99.9% of people are being, you know, really responsible, but I have no idea what people do off campus. So has it been your perception that people are being responsible off campus?
You can speak to that first, Megan.
I think I go through days of being really pessimistic, and then I also go through days of being really optimistic. And I think it's somewhere in the middle. And I think that the people who are being irresponsible are just louder. You know, like people aren't posting on Snapchat like, oh, staying home for the 365th day, you know, like on social media and like on everything, the people that are posting are the ones being irresponsible. And I think almost the biggest issue are the people that have already gotten it and are like, oh, I have immunity. Oh, I have immunity. You know, like those are the people that are being more responsible in my case. And I think that every person has a different level of what responsible is. Like,
Right.
Yeah.
I understand that I'm very, very careful about this and very paranoid about it. So I still like don't go to restaurants. Like, I'm like very isolated. So I might say, going to restaurants or going somewhere unmasked is irresponsible, but if you ask them, they're like, oh yeah, I'm being responsible. So it's kind of a hard line to tell. So that's why I'm just basically not seeing anyone.
Right.
That sounds really sad, but it's kind of the reality.
Gabby?
So again, I'm glad that we kind of have different experiences to talk to. Where you live right off campus in your house, I live in an apartment downtown and I work at a restaurant. Part of the things that I prepared to talk about was that I lost both of my jobs during this pandemic. The restaurant job was just put temporarily on hold, but you know, when that came back up, the expectation was come back and make money, or we're gonna, you know, hire new people that can. So I chose to work and wear masks, and I feel so fortunate to work for a restaurant that took it very seriously.
Awesome.
It's my opinion that I think we're probably one of the top restaurants in town that spaced out tables. We're strict about, you know, wearing masks and being responsible. So I had a good experience with that. So I feel a little desensitized to, you know, Megan's experience to speak to like not making those choices, because the choice was kind of made for me with either make money and, you know, or get another job doing something else. And my parents aren't in town, but I wanted to keep my apartment and pay my own bills. So I worked in things like that. And then on that same note too, I've never been to one of the campus bars, you know, around school that I know what those are like, you know. So I've heard stories that they're packed full of students dancing and things like that on a Friday night. And in fact, not to call anybody out, but I saw Snapchats last night that I think were probably one of the first ones that I saw that I had confirmation that people were doing that kind of stuff. But again, just like Megan said, somewhere in the middle. I'm consistently impressed by how often students are wearing their masks by themselves, walking around campus.
Mhm.
I don't know if that's a little bit of a disconnect between student identity and then personal identity, that they feel responsible to do those things on campus, but not individually elsewhere. But at least for the campus experience, I think students are very responsible in taking it seriously. But
Very cool.
my phone last night told me maybe otherwise for other people in the community. So yeah, I don't know.
One of the questions, and Megan, you had said something before about, some of the up days and the down days. How do you have, I'm trying to think of the best way to ask this. When with relation to mental health, I mean, is this now becomes an active process? I know it has for me. I mean, all of my work stopped last March 13th. Friday the 13th was the last time I had worked, and crossing fingers, we have something coming up in April. So our production schedule is back, but literally all of our events just fell off. And a creative person, I'm part of the speech department, way back when, but still part of that. I have found it difficult some days for a creative person to, like some days are really good, some days are really bad. You wonder if you're turning bipolar. But what's been the focus on like mental health, like yours, and what you see other people doing? Megan, go ahead.
Yeah, I'm very open about my mental health. Even far before the pandemic, I struggled with anxiety and depression, but it definitely has taken a toll. And again, I just try to remind myself, like, so many people have it so much worse.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, I'm me and I'm struggling. So I will say we have a counseling center on campus who is just amazing. The
Awesome.
dean of students has just gone above and beyond. Like I've had to talk to them for multiple reasons of, like, I was in contact with a coworker, and they are just incredible. And
Cool.
so I think that the university and universities really, I'd like to think it's not just ours, but kind of across the nation, like, have really been trying. But it is really up and down, especially like you have such a creative block from sitting at one place all day. And I even had a summer internship that was supposed to be in downtown Chicago, like working next to the Bean, like, like this awesome like experience.
Oh, wow.
And I log in, I do my work, I log out, so it's just a bit like, man, like I can't help but feel like I'm missing out. And I think that that's what's really affecting my mental health the most.
Okay. Gabrielle.
I definitely want to second Megan's comment that the dean of students has been crazy, like just amazing to have.
Awesome.
Not to admit on camera that I was sick, but I picked up COVID back in November. None of us know where we got it. I was the only person. My partner picked it up because we lived together, obviously, but nobody else, none of my family, none of my coworkers, nobody else got it. So I basically was in denial when it happened, and I refused to take a break. And that really drained me. It was like those first 3 days that I think I was probably the sickest, that I refused to reach out for help. And finally, my mom, she said, Gabby, you've talked about this every time I've spoken to you. Call the dean of students, ask for help. And I finally did. And I think they got back to me in 15 minutes and said,
Wow.
Whatever you need, don't worry about it. We'll talk to your professors. We'll take care of it for you.
Wow.
What do you
Wow.
need? And that was just the biggest weight off my back. And then I think I literally slept for like 18 hours after that email saying, thank you, good night. So I have a lot of respect for what the university has done. I think the level of events that they've tried to put on either virtually or socially distant for those freshman students that don't have those creative outlets has been great. So I'm very thankful to be part of our university that is trying. I know a lot of students have qualms with some of the things that they were doing, kind of making fun of some of the initiatives they're trying to do, but I defend the university. I'm saying, like, what more do you want them to do for you? Because they're trying so hard. All of their teams are trying. And so I've been appreciative for that. On a
Awesome.
personal note, I can second that creative block as well. I now resent my dining room table for all of the things that I've done at that table. I'm sitting in a different space right now because I needed a creative space to think about new things to talk about. So I've not yet quite mastered, like, I don't know, bouncing around my apartment to try different spaces. So I've definitely found, especially as a communications major, writing a paper, writing a speech, and not having that kind of environment around you to help you think of good ideas to be really hard.
Wow.
Now you two are both, very high performers academically, right? You get really great grades, and I think I can speak for all the professors who really enjoy having you in class. You're always giving input and participating, but that has not been the norm. I've noticed as a professor that, especially with the online component, a lot of students have struggled with this. I have 2 intro classes, for example, this semester, and for our listeners on our campus, we have something called an early alert system. So it's within the first 5 or 6 weeks of the semester, we're supposed to indicate if a student is at risk to fail the class. So in my 2 entry-level classes, I've got about 40 students, and I had to indicate that 10 out of the 40 are at risk to fail. Right. That's probably the highest number I've ever had. And out of that 10, I think that 8 of them chose to take the class completely online. What is your view? And we can start with you, Gabby. Why do you think the online component is so difficult for so many students?
It's a really important question. I think a lot of people are trying to find the answer to that, because I don't see this online option going away for the future, nor do I think it probably should forever. But I think it's possibly a level of accountability too.
Yeah.
I struggle a little bit when teachers on the first day of class say, only turn your cameras on if you feel comfortable, because I'm the kind of person that I do feel comfortable keeping my camera on, but I'm going to keep it off anyway, because then I can be on my phone, or, not that I am, but it gives you the option to do so. So I think it's that level of not making eye contact with your teacher when they're asking you a question, and then, or, just not feeling that you're engaged. So if you already don't feel that way, and this is an extra chore, it's a hard class, it's a hard online class, it's just really hard to click that button to raise your hand. So I think it takes a level of conscious effort to make that the best experience it can be.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's almost harder too, at least in my experience this semester. This is my first time having online and in-person classes where people in the class are online and people in the class are in person.
Mm-hmm.
And I opted to be the in-person class because I live in town. It's not hard for me to get to school and wear a mask, and I appreciate that in-person element. But I think it's really hard to jump in when that there's a class in person having a conversation and you got an idea online. So I think that's a hard boundary to cross too, to feel that you're equally as engaged as those classmates you have sitting in the classroom.
Wow. Yeah, Megan.
Yeah, I absolutely agree with everything that Gabby said. I'm in one class right now that is like some of us are online, some of us are in person, and you can bounce back and forth how you want. And I've gone in person a couple days, and there's literally, it's either just me or me and one other student. And so I'm just like, okay, I don't want to be the one person.
No, you
to
should
let
be the one person.
Like, I know, but it's just like, it's a hard thing to like balance. And I do praise professors. They are trying so ridiculously hard, but like, how much can you engage online people when you literally see black screens? But I think back to the original question, why it's so hard is because there's no like clear end to the work, like before the pandemic, I could go to class in between, if I had a 2-hour break, I would go to the library, work on that, go to another class, whatever. And then when I would go home, I would be able to unwind and relax. But now our workspace, our relaxation space, our breakdown space, like everything is in one. And so I pride myself in being a good, student. So I'm struggling on the other end where I wake up to I go to bed, I'm just working like the whole day, and I don't give myself breaks, and I drive myself crazy. But I absolutely understand the other end of the spectrum where it's like people can't even start because it's like there's so much and it seems never ending because it's just always following you everywhere.
We are coming close to the end here. And one of the big questions has been, are students overall getting their money's worth in this environment? right? There's a movement across the country to say that there ought to be major tuition refunds through all this. And be completely brutally candid with us. And in your judgment, would you say that the quality of what you've gotten in the
Oops, we lost Tony for a second. He'll come back. I hope he comes back. Tony, we missed the last part of your question, Tony.
Oh, sorry.
That's okay. So we're probably going to audio. So
yeah, sorry about that. Yeah, my screen froze up on me here.
That's okay. You had this great look on your face, like
okay.
No.
Really, what I was asking was, has it been worth the price of education? There's a movement across the country to say that what college students have gotten in this last year has not been worth the tuition price. What's your view on that?
Which one of us would you like to go first?
Either one.
Gabby, take it away.
Again, as I've said, I have a lot of respect for our university, and I have a lot of respect for the individual financial needs our university had pre-pandemic. Mm-hmm. And so I've had a really good experience with this online platform. Again, I had experience doing virtual classes before. I'm so thankful that we have the technology to be able to meet through these kind of talking platforms, to be able to have conversations more than just what my high school was like, where it was just words on the screen, do the work. So I have not had classes where I've needed technical platforms to do the work, like Adobe and things like that Megan spoke to. And I've had lots of friends that is their entire degree. And they, I think, would probably have a very different answer to what that was. Because if you don't have that platform to teach yourself that skill, that's a huge loss. And that is not what you paid for. So I respect that. But to my own experience, I think our professors have had to learn with us. And they've tried really, really hard to make classes interesting and engaging and at the same level. Because I don't think, not that I am a professor, but I don't think you guys are trying to not give a quality level class that you would in person. So I think I've gotten a good experience with it. I'm very thankful for the professors that I've had and the level of work that they do. And Dr. Primary, I'm in your online classes right now. And I have taken you multiple times in person and now online, and I'm still enjoying myself immensely. I feel like I'm learning a lot.
I've heard that I'm a little less obnoxious online, so that's good. But
I don't think you're ever obnoxious. So.
But I tell you, as the senior member of the Department of Comm Studies now, I am so proud of my colleagues. I mean, they have been going out of their way to we do have conversations. What can we do to make this more engaging? And so I've been really proud of it. I mean, I do understand that a lot of students are missing the quote unquote college experience. But on the other hand, before the pandemic, not enough students really joined campus clubs, right? I think that's part of the campus experience, right? Not enough students went to things like speaker series. That's part of the campus experience. So if the campus experience means off-campus socializing, yeah, that has been hurt, right? But I'm not sure that's necessarily the campus experience per se, although I understand it is important. Megan, gotten your money's worth? Still less expensive than Illinois, right?
Yes. I get weirdly defensive over this question, and I don't know if I'm in the minority, but I think I've absolutely gotten my money's worth. I mean, obviously it's no secret that college is crazy expensive, but like just strictly money-wise, if you look at it before the pandemic, if you were to take an online class, it would have been just as expensive, if not more, than an in-person class. Mm-hmm. And I think that this argument is really not based in a lot of fact, because I think it's just the frustration of students and being like, I just want something back. I want my money. I want my experience. I want something. Because if you look at what we're actually doing, I personally think that online classes are a lot harder because I think professors have been so like just from the administration, I don't know from where, but they've received a lot of pressure to make it your money's worth.
Mhm.
And so I think they're honestly making it more work. And I'm like, okay, I'm really getting my money's worth. Like you can calm it down a bit. But like jokes aside, I absolutely like, yes, I miss seeing people in person. I miss this, I miss that. But money-wise, I really don't think it's much different.
Wow, great.
There's,
Matt, do you have a final question? We could talk to Gabby and Megan all day, I think.
Oh,
This
gosh.
has been really fascinating.
I think one of the things that, and again, I'm, been a handful of years removed from all this, but one of the rites of passage that I think is missing is, you're running late, you live off campus and you need to get to the AC building and you've got 5 minutes to find a place to park. Nobody's had to actually do that really this year, right? Because I could never find a place to park. I was always running, I come into Tony's class late. Oh, sorry, man. I'm sorry I'm running late. But no, thank you guys for your time and the candid answers. I mean, this is, I can't imagine what I would do. I was just looking, I lived in the University Garden Apartments and I lived over, they used to call them the Archie Bunker houses, but it's the pay and row houses over on Summit. They actually look like decent places to live now. Back when I lived there, I think they were one step away from being condemned.
Right.
I can't even imagine what that would have been like, but I commend both of you for doing what you do and sticking with it. And I would want to think that the colleges would want to do whatever that they can to give the best possible experience. So I mean, this is new for them too. And now that we've done it, like you said before, I don't think this is going to go away anytime soon. And I've done a lot of online stuff before this, but now it's just kind of regular culture. So kudos to you guys for sticking it out. Also, being able to actually get COVID and be okay after it's all said and done. So thanks again, stay safe, and keep doing what you do.
Thank you
All
so
right.
much for having us.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, you guys. This was great.
Hey, Tony, that was an amazing interview with those two ladies.
Yeah, I think Gabby and Megan are just a really great example of the quality of students that we have. And I'm really so proud of both of them. They've done so many things in class and so many extracurricular activities. And I really appreciate the insight that they gave us about what it's been like, right, during the pandemic. So I think our show accomplished the goal we set out. Let's get the student perspective on what it's been like. And I really appreciated their candor and, talking about not everyone's been very responsible, but majority of people seems like that they have. And I, as a professor, I was really just kind of honored at how they believe that the majority of their teachers have tried. And that's been my perception.
That's awesome.
People are working really, really hard to try to make this work.
Yeah.
Even though it's kind of like teaching double the amount of classes when you have some people in class and some people online. So I think that both of them are kind of like borderline millennial and Zoomer generation. And if they are representative of what the youth of America are, then I'm kind of optimistic going forward for this
Definitely
country.
Optimistic. I'm also encouraged by what they said that the Dean of Students did to help them in any way possible. That's incredible. So I'm very, very pleased to hear that, especially from, my alma mater, that they're taking care of the kids and making sure that everybody is as safe as possible and doing really what it takes to kind of, keep people healthy, safe, and as normal as you possibly can during a time like this. So
absolutely.
Well, I think,
yeah, let's definitely have them back again at some point.
Absolutely would love to have them back, and looking forward to all the stuff that's coming up in the future for Running on Empty. I mean, this is only our second show of the year, but we're looking for more folks for interviews, and so if you happen to know anybody out there, everybody that that you think would be a good interview, let us know. You can send us a message. You can make a comment. We got our email down below, and always remember to like and subscribe. We're always looking for more subscribers and people to like and listen to our show, because while we're still brand new, this is only our second year. We're hoping that this turns into something definitely more than what we got right now. We're having a lot of fun with it, and I'm definitely having a lot of fun. I don't know about you, Tony, but I'm having a blast.
Oh, absolutely.
And well, I guess we'll call it for this one, and looking forward to our next show. So We'll see everybody next time. See you very soon, Tony, and stay elevated, everybody.
You're running on empty with Matt and Tony.
That is so refreshing to talk to.
I was not that articulate when I was 21.
I don't think I was.
You were close.